6. There's a delay with the fire alarm.
Oh, yeah. The fire alarm that happened 20 minutes ago.
Let's go. Let's get our notes out. We got some learning to do today. And the good news is,
No, they didn't like make an announcement. I lost track of time.
Yeah, they made an announcement at 45, 44.
Excuse me.
okay,
Let's keep more track of our time.
all right, we are on page 43, page 43 of our notes, and we're ready for, so we are ready for part 1BB. I'm not sure what I was doing when I labeled these, but anyhow, we're ready for a problem that says that we have the point -1, 4.
We've done this.
Did we do this one?
Yeah.
Oh, we did?
We're on 2.
We're ready to go.
Yeah, we're on fine one
That's
toddler.
right.
We did a good job this morning.
I thought you made those 2.
Now, coterminal. This is a new vocabulary word, but it's a very, very easy concept. Coterminal. Stop and think about this for a second. In our standard setup, and remember that this is not navigation. If the problem involves a compass, then the setup is different. But if the problem is just a math problem, mathematics, this is going to be our setup every time. So if I ask you to draw 100 degrees, my hope is that you would draw something that looked like that. That's 100 degrees. Would you agree with that? Just a little bit past 90?
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. What if I ask you to draw 460 degrees?
You go all the way around.
Wouldn't 460
Be the same.
be the same angle?
Yeah.
Or at least it would be the same ray here? Because 460 would mean going all the way around. That's 360. And then 100 more, so wouldn't I end up in the same spot? Coterminal angles end up in the same spot. Now, how did I get 460? I didn't just make that up and got lucky. What did I do to get 460? I took my original angle and added 360. And why is 360 special? Because 360 is a revolution. To find coterminal angles, you start with your given angle, which in this case is 100, and you add or subtract revolutions. So I added 360 and got 460. What would I get if I subtracted 360? Negative 260. To find coterminal angles, positive, you add 360, negative, you subtract 360. Negative 260 would look like this. Does that make sense to everybody? Negative means we go down and around. So we add 360 and subtract 360. Now, what if the given, the original angle, is in radians? Now remember, how do you find coterminal angles? Add or subtract a revolution. If I am in radians, Sam, are you okay, honey?
Yeah, he sneezed and blew all over me.
That's just not true.
I swear on everything.
That's disgusting.
Cedar didn't cover.
That's
Yes,
Oh my God.
Cedar didn't want me.
I did.
Oh, that was disgusting. He does this all the time. He forgets to do this all the time.
Stop sneezing on each other.
I'm not. He forgets to cover up.
What is a revolution in radians?
180. Pi over 180. What?
180. Pi over 180.
Yes.
Remember, pi is 180 degrees. So 2 pi is a revolution. So in radians, you're gonna add or subtract 2 pi. In degrees, you're gonna add and subtract 360, because it's a revolution. How do you find coterminal angles? You add or subtract a revolution. If I'm in degrees, that means I add and subtract 360. If I'm in radians, that means I add and subtract 2 pi. So I'll get a common denominator here, so 2 pi over 7 plus 14 pi over 7. So that one would be 16 pi over 7. And then this one will be 2 pi over 7 minus 14 pi over 7. So negative 12 pi over 7. So your directions were to find one positive and one negative. There they are. One more time. How do you get coterminal angles? Add a revolution, subtract a revolution. Right?
Yep.
So what's negative 150?
210 degrees.
I'm gonna add 360, and that's gonna be 210, that's
Negative
my
410.
positive.
Negative 510.
And then I will subtract 360, negative 510. And that's my negative. Okay, real simple. Add and subtract 360 or 2 pi, depending on what you're starting with. All right, next. Now I don't have an angle. All I know is that my angle is in this space. All right, so I just erased it. Let me put it back up here. Remember when we're doing math problems, not navigation, that our labels are these. This is called standard position. This is how we label. What's pi? 180. I'm talking about in degrees.
Oh,
Pi would be 180. And pi over 2 then would be 90. So we are, this is the same as saying you're between 90 and 180. So this angle we're talking about, I don't know what it is, but would you agree it's over here in quadrant 2?
Yeah.
Between 90 and 180. Now, I don't know the angle, and I know nothing about the lengths of the sides. But if I am in quadrant 2, don't I know this one's negative, and that one's positive? And the hypotenuse, as I told you the other day, is always positive. So here's your angle, always at the origin. So this is the adjacent side, this is the opposite side, this is the hypotenuse. Now tell me about the sign. All I want to know is it positive or negative? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's positive over positive, so the sine is positive. What about the cosine? Watch it. Won't the cosine be negative over positive? Which means it is negative. And then the tangent will be positive over negative. So it is also negative. So the question says, tell the sign, S-I-G-N, that's positive, negative. All right, let's try the next one. Now we're between pi and 3 pi over 2. So where are we? If we're between pi and 3 pi over 2, we're between 180 and 270.
Oh, wait, yeah.
So this one is down here. There's my angle. I know no numbers, guys. No numbers. All I know is this side is what? Positive or negative? Negative. This side is negative. Left and down, those are negatives. And the hypotenuse is, of course, positive. So, this side would be adjacent. This side would be opposite. Remember, there's your angle. And this is the hypotenuse. So tell me about the sign.
Oh, that means negative, right?
No, they're not all gonna be negative. Sine will be negative. And cosine will be negative. But Ronan, what happens with the tangent?
Oh, there's two negatives.
There's two negatives, so that one's gonna be positive. All right? Tell the sign of the following. Now, I realize that you could type these in on your calculator and get the exact numbers. That isn't the point. The point is, we're trying to navigate all this positive, negative stuff. So, I want you to think about the cosine of 8 pi over 9. Could we change that into degrees? Yeah, how do you do that? Oh, you know how to do this. What's pi? 180, right? So 8 180s divided by 9, right? So you get 160. So this is the same as the cosine of 160. Now, that is one option you have. It will always work. Therefore, which quadrant is that angle in?
Fourth.
Four?
Third. Second.
Is it in the second? Is
Oh,
it this
second.
160?
I think she should change.
0, 90, 180, is it 160 before I get to 180? So negative, positive, positive.
Negative.
And I want the cosine. The cosine is going to be negative. All right, let's make sure everybody's up with that. Everybody see why I put 160 here? Everybody see why the cosine is negative? Adjacent over hypotenuse? And that's my question, not what's the number. My question is, what's its SIGN? Negative.
Wait,
Now-
why'd you put one?
Huh?
Why'd you put 160? 8 times 180 divided by 9.
Yeah. Now, I want you to start thinking about, instead of labeling these like this, I know 180 is pi. And I know 360 is 2 pi. And I know 90 is pi over 2. And 270 is 3 pi over 2, or 1.5 pi's. So next time maybe you do this problem, you won't have to change the 1 into 160. Isn't 8/9 more than a half, but less than 1? So I know it has to be in this quadrant, right? And right now, that's all I care about is which quadrant is it in, because that's how I'm going to decide whether it's positive or negative. All right, let's look at the next one, B. Negative pi over 7. Now, without changing pi over 2. I'm going negative now. Negative 90.
Okay.
Negative pi over 2. Is negative 1/7 smaller than a half or bigger than a half?
Smaller.
Smaller. So this angle is in quadrant 4.
So negative or negative?
Yeah, I do
Positive, negative, positive. 1/7 is smaller than 1/2. Right?
that. Of course.
Yeah, of course. That's why it only made it this far. It didn't make it all the way to a half. Now I want the cosecant. Cosecant is reciprocal of
Secant, sine.
sine. So it must be, cosecant must be hypotenuse over opposite. So positive over
Negative.
negative,
Negative.
so that'll be a negative answer.
Okay, how do you know the hypotenuse is positive?
Always,
Oh, it's always, okay.
always.
Okay.
Oh my, 25 pi over 8.
Bigger than 1/2.
Definitely.
It's in quadrant 4.
Pretty big.
Wait, no, it's bigger than, bigger than 2.
Now with numbers like this, I like to change it into a mixed number. So that would be the cotangent of 3 1/8 pi. All right, now let's see if we can figure this out. Talk about 3 pi, 3 whole pies. Where would that be? Well, 2 whole pies is all the way around,
Yeah, so it's all around the half.
so it's all the way around. All right, so now it's down to 1 1/8 pi,
Bottom left
okay, if I
corner.
go all the way around. And then a whole pie would put me over here,
Yeah. And it's less than half.
and then an 1/8 more. So it's in quadrant 3.
Negative, negative, so it's positive.
Positive.
I want cotangent, which is adjacent over opposite, so that would be positive. 25/8 pi is a big angle. So we can shrink it down by getting rid of, coterminal,
Oh, you can make it
getting
smaller.
rid of 2 pi, subtracting 2 pi, and that leaves us with 1 1/8. Remember that a whole pi is halfway around.
You're gonna need to make it smaller.
All right, would you try D, E, and F on your own? They are all in degrees.
Whoa. No.
See if you can figure out the degree or the sign, positive or negative,
Just easier?
positive or negative of degrees. Remember your degree setup is this.
0, 90, 180.
This is your degree setup. So see what you can do with those 3 problems. Remember, you're just figuring out if they're positive or negative.
First one positive. Yes, it is. Now you're going opposite. And then secant is the opposite of cosine. So so h over a.
Right.
Got it.
What happens in the middle of the game if you're sitting on the bench with your legs like this? What happens? Not good things, right? So I heard the same
Initially,
thing.
Coach Delaney takes him back. Fixes him.
All right, where did you put 152?
Top right.
I
top
hope
left.
you put it in quadrant
2.
2.
That's where I put it.
And in quadrant 2, you have negative, positive, positive. You want the sign. Sign is opposite over hypotenuse. I hope you said positive. Right, Joe?
Yes.
Positive. All right, now this guy is negative. So we're going negative around the circle. The labels are the same, you're just going the opposite way. So negative 90, negative 180. Did you put this one also in quadrant 2?
Yep.
Because it's a little bit past 180?
Yep.
So again, those are my signs, but this time I went tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Did you say negative?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, not good. All right, how about this last one? I kind of gave you a little hint. 500 is more than once around, so we're allowed to subtract that out. That's just a spin. We can ignore that. And we're left with 140. Oh my gosh. That's also in this quadrant?
Yep. Anyone H over A.
So secant is reciprocal of cosine. So it's this over this, hypotenuse over adjacent. So it is also.
I wasn't even listening, I just caught the picture.
Okay? So, question always comes up. How do I know if something is positive or negative? What does it depend on? Which quadrant are you in?
And which?
If you know which quadrant you're in, you got it. Made in the shade. You need to know which quadrant you're in. Okay. Evaluate exactly. No calculator.
No couch.
So this time we are going to find an actual number. We will have positives and negatives, but we're going to have an actual number. Sine 150. First thing you do is draw 150. 150 would look something like this. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to draw my perpendicular down to the x-axis and make my triangle. I know from what we just talked about that that's negative, that's positive, and that's positive, but this time I can actually find the numbers. Because see this little angle right here?
Yep.
Now remember, that's 150 and that's 180.
30.
That's a 30-degree angle. And what's special about a 30-degree angle?
30, 60, 90.
It's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So this positive number over here is a half. This negative number right here is √3/2. And the hypotenuse is, oh wait, I'm sorry.
Why is that?
Yeah, would it just be
I'm
1,
sorry.
2?
I'm reducing them and I shouldn't be. I'm sorry. So this is 1,
Yeah.
this is negative √3, and this is 2.
Why? I'm confused on
And I want the sign. So the sign is
1/2.
1/2.
Watch it out.
Cotangent 5 pi over 3. Cotangent 5 pi over 3.
1 2/3.
How many degrees is that?
Over 360.
No, it's not.
It's
What?
300. How did you get 300
I use the mini calculator.
to do what? And what did you type in the mini calculator?
5 times 180 over 3.
Sure. It's 5/3 of 180. So a third of 180 is 60. And 5 60s are 300. So where is 300?
590. Quadrant 4.
Over here?
Yeah.
Cause that's 360 right there. So now, how big is my angle? Remember, it's the one at the origin that's important.
Oh, 60.
That would be 60 this time. Can everybody figure that out?
Negative.
So across from the 60 is root 3, but be careful, that root 3 has to be negative because of where it is.
Below.
This is positive 1, and the hypotenuse, remember, is always positive. Now I want cotangent. What's cotangent? Adjacent over opposite, good. So adjacent over opposite will be 1 over negative root 3,
You got that fraction.
or negative root 3 over 3. All right, one more. Cosecant 3 pi over 4. Go at it on your own. Let's see what you come up with. Cosecant 3 pi over 4.
I don't know.
Saying I don't know is not an option. Let's start working on
Well, I
it.
know what it is. I just don't know what the difference is.
135.
135 for sure.
I'm gonna come around and get my babies. If you have one of my babies still, please give it back to me. Anybody got it here?
45. It has to be 145. It has to be 145.
Hey, put my baby in here.
135.
Anybody over here got him?
Oh, I'm thinking 190. You're right. Cosecant is the opposite sign. So. So it can be opposite. So it's just gonna be root 2. Oh. Yeah, root 2.
Okay. Did you figure out how many degrees that was? 135. And hopefully you put it like most of the others in quadrant 2.
Yeah.
And you dropped your perpendicular, so your, what we call this the reference angle. This little angle right here is, remember, think about my fingers making that angle. It's 135 and 180.
Root 2.
Bottom's negative.
Isn't that a 45? And the sides are 1 root 2. And the biggest mistake that's made is we
Negative
put
1.
that negative right there.
Right, I'm so
But as it turns out, it doesn't matter in this problem because cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So the answer is root 2 over 1 or just root 2. All right, good job, folks. We'll pick up here tomorrow.